rangy as well, and he should be up there early on.
And the other hue of blue, the royal blue of Godolphin. Best Solution, Dubai Thunder and Ben Battle, all trained by Saeed bin Sarur. And Ben Battle and Best Solution will lead the parade as numbers 1 and 2 for the Investec Derby. And they are going to turn the corner very shortly and ready to greet them out on the track. Here's Lydia Hislop.
The fanfare has just sounded and the first horses for the Investec Derby 2017 are taking their steps onto the track for the parade, and this will be a key pointer as to how the horses are taking the preliminaries. This is part of the key test of the thoroughbred, the unique test of the thoroughbred that is the Investec Derby. It's not just the demands of the idiosyncratic track and the stiff mile and a half and the fact that you're facing the best of your generation over in those circumstances. There's also this parade to deal with. And we're looking first of all at Dubai Thunder, who has been allowed to go to the front of the parade, and he's taking things really well. He's got earplugs in, and this is only his second start. He looks very, very relaxed. Behind him is Ben Battle, number 1, and he's wearing a hood for the first time. Remember, he was too keen in the Dante. Again, he looks nice and relaxed. They'll be pleased, Godolphin, with that. And there is Best Solution, who is the first string, Pat Cosgrave, on board this horse, the winner of the Lingfield Derby. Now, behind, number 3, Capri, is getting sweaty, but not as much as Cliffs of Moher. He really is getting sweaty, but he's done that before. He did that at Chester. Cracksman is just getting warm a little bit down his neck, but essentially he looks fine. His temperament seems to be holding up nicely. He seems to be one of the calmer Frankel additions, and he's followed by Crowned Eagle, who again looks chilled and relaxed. Now, if we pan around to the left-hand side, Douglas MacArthur at number 7 is beginning to throw his head around. Now Eminent is beginning to get a little bit high-mettled. Martin Mead has spoken, number 9, has spoken about this horse and having to teach him to be calm. When he was a 2-year-old, they used to take him to Newmarket and walk him around the paddock to make sure he's okay. He is getting a bit on top of himself. It's a good thing that he was able to go there. Number 11, Khalidi has gone, and so has Peeler. The others, as they stream past me, all seem to be relatively okay. Peeler was keen to get going. If we pan around to the left, Salouan is still playing up. Number 15, Salouan is still playing up. He was doing that in the paddock. And then we have an O'Brien trio. And number 16, Venice Beach, is wanting to get on with things. He's a little bit sweaty as well. He's taking a nice... Oh no, sorry, that is the Anvil is above himself and getting a little bit sweaty as well. He ducked behind his stable companion, Venice Beach, who's giving him a lead to post. So some of them are taking it fine. Ben Battle, notably, would be one that I'd have been concerned might have had some problems. Cracksman seems to be fine. Maybe some small signs that Eminent is finding the day quite a task.
And why wouldn't you find the day quite a task? It's as hot as it's been all afternoon, now up into the mid-20s. It's a cauldron-like atmosphere in a relatively small paddock, and then out onto the racecourse to be greeted on one side by the packed grandstand and on the other side by that extraordinary scape of colour created by the hill. A trio of O'Briens. How do they play it, James Willoughby?
Emphasising there, Lucky, that shot, emphasising the team-natured competition in a way that's prevailed in the 2017 Derby. And that question is too difficult to answer, simply because there are too many different tactical components out there. But let's talk about how we might answer it, I suppose. What is it that Cliffs of Moher wants? Well, he doesn't want a searching pace. Connections have spoken about how they were wondering about whether he'd even stay a mile and a quarter. Is he their main hope? If it is a strong pace, then stablemate Venice Beach could thrive. He's a strong staying horse who ran a good time last time in the Chester Vase and didn't wilt against strong fractions in the closing stages.
Cliffs of Moher left in the all navy blue of Sue Magna, being taken down as steadily as Ryan Moore can get him down, and he's being led down to post by his attractive grey stable companion, a rare grey by Galileo, Capri, who was the subject of some mull earlier in the week, and he's ridden by Shamey Heffernan, the Ballydoyle stalwart, Sam.
Yeah, he's just getting a little warm, Cliffs of Moher. 2 handlers, as is the want of Ballydoyle, but he's just a little bit of wash. Obviously a very warm day, but you know, you just hope that he hasn't left his race in the parade ring, really.
He won the D Stakes at Chester. What impression did he leave on you that day, James?
Not a great one. I think it's his maiden win as a 2-year-old that left a deep impression, simply because we can be sure of one thing in this great game of ours, and that is the clock. The clock does not lie. And the horse in shot there posted a figure that suggests he was a surefire pattern winner. in the making should he make normal progress, which of course all Aidan O'Brien's do. At Chester, he was a little bit tap for foot, but would have learned a lot.
Aidan having a son Donica on Venice Beach and a daughter Anna riding the Anvil. It's not the only O'Brien narrative in this race, because his son Joseph, twice victorious in this race as a jockey, still only 24 years old, is the youngest trainer in today's race. He saddles Rekindling in the Lloyd Williams colours there, the navy colours that Australian viewers will be very familiar with. And this horse beat two of today's rivals 2 starts ago. He was a little disappointing in the Dante. He's ridden today by Wayne Lorden. He was formerly in the care of David Watchman, for whom Wayne used to ride. And if Joseph O'Brien were to beat his father Aidan O'Brien, there would be redolent echoes of the 1984 Derby, when David O'Brien, no relation, beat his father, the predecessor at Ballydoyle, the late great Vincent O'Brien.
Yeah, Secreto, yeah. The thing is as well about this setup today is that Rekindling's running the Dante is a big worry for the domestic Irish classic trial form. For Rekindling seemed the best of those horses over there, yet he was well held by Permian and Co in the Dante. Now on times, actually, there's really hard to say that Rekindling's any better than that. Of course, a mile and a half today could see him improve still further as a son of High Chaparral. But it looks like Douglas MacArthur, Capri and Rekindling have got to step up markedly to actually make an impact on horses towards the head of the market.
Godolphin come to the Derby party for the first time meaningfully in a number of years. Although not in the royal blue, Lamtara was a Godolphin trainee for Saibin Soroa back in 1995. He'd had just the one start. One start is all that Dubai Thunder's had. He has more experienced stable companions in here in Best Solution and Ben Battle. But of the three, the once race maiden winner Dubai Thunder is now the shortest price, Sam.
Yeah, I find that quite extraordinary. I think in some respects this market, I mean, features two at the head of the market that could be open to brilliance. You know, Cracksman and Cliffs of Moher, that we don't quite know what they're capable of. There's one or two in here that look more grinders, gallopers, in the Venice Beaches as well, Capri, Douglas MacArthur. They're just horses that just lengthen, grind, and you might think mile and a half, mile 6 further down the line. The likes of Cracksman, Cliffs of Moher, and perhaps even Dubai Thunder, they might just have that touch and that shade of brilliance about them, and the ability, the speed over the mile and a quarter could get then translated to a mile and a half. So it'd be fascinating to see. But I must admit, Dubai Thunder, they're really cramming his education into a small window here.
Cliffs of Moher is just a little on edge, as he has been throughout. Ryan Moore's done a good job just keeping the lid on that simmering pot. But he's been leapfrogged in style in the market by Cracksman, who's now 100 to 30 for the Golden Horn team of Anthony Oppenheimer, the breeder, John Gosden and Frankie Dettori. Dave Neverson with more.
Yeah, it's been a one-horse race. The William Hill firm have got it absolutely right here in terms of the market, because they went up 3-1 Cracksman when other firms were 9-2, and all the other firms have come down to meet them as fortunes comes for the Gosden horse. You can still get a tiny little bit of 7-2. I suspect the SP is going to be 100 to 30, but really and truly it's been the only horse backed outside in the betting ring here. Cliffs of Moher has been weak. Maybe it's because the way it's been behaving in the paddock. It's just gone out to 11-2 out here. Eminent has been strong all day. That's a 6-1 chance. I don't think you're going to get any 13-2 now. And Permian, the bookmakers, taken a defensive stance on this horse each way. 8-1, that's pretty much cast in stone. But I predict if the market move and the late move is going to be the right move, I'm predicting Cracksman wins the Derby.
And if Dave's prediction is correct, it will be the second time in 3 years that the colours of owner-breeder Anthony Oppenheimer walk into the winner's circle, which in view of the competition he faces from the big battalions would be a remarkable achievement. This, a son of Frankel, from Frankel's first crop. Has he got what it takes, James?
Physically, he's the best horse in the field. He's got the longest stride, 17.5 metres, in excess of that. It's easy to measure him on that if you've got the right equipment. He dominates. He's like the Usain Bolt of this field. He's got better physical dimensions, but there are two things working against him. One is inexperience. That was on show in the Derby trial, arguably, and also at the Breakfast in the Stars Gallop, when he was pushed along to complete his work, whereas Eminent did it all on the bridle, even though he's barely had more experience himself. So Cracksman isn't necessarily a very manoeuvrable horse, but you can see for yourself there. Look at the length and range. and his action is something to behold. He lacks top-end balance, but he's got brilliant range at full gallop.
John Gosden won the Derby first 20 years ago, can you believe it, with Benny the Dip in 97 by the shortest margin then in the race's history. He won it again 2 years ago with Golden Horn, and he seeks a third, and he's got 5 going for him, which seemed hardly likely a couple of weeks ago, Sam. But he also runs Khalidi, who won what used to be called the Predominant Stakes at Goodwood, now the Cocked Hat Stakes. He runs Crowned Eagle, who no one seems to have talked about much, for Lady Bamford, a relation of her Oaks winner Sariska. He also runs the Linkfield Derby Trial second, Glencadam Glory, and the rank outsider Peeler. Do any of those named, apart from Cracksman, warrant more than a cursory mention?
Well, he's got a couple that could be pace angles in the race. Certainly Peeler has led before now, and Crowned Eagle made all to win that Windsor Handicap, so they could be a couple that be up front trying to control the pace. It'd be interesting if you could ask John what he'd want, an end-to-end gallop at 1.5 miles, or whether he'd want the stop-start horse. Yeah, stop-start gallop for his horse.
I suspect he might want the former.
Yeah, I definitely think so. He wants a strong even. This is going to win it in Troy or Erhab style, rather than as being a stalker and pounce type of horse. He wants a long, and that's probably what he's going to get. And when you're watching this race at home, the key furlongs are the first 2. You can see there that they've got to turn right before turning left to reach the rail. So those drawn low, and the key horse tactically here has got to be Permian and William Buick. For Permian to have a chance, Lucky, Buick's got to get the fractions right in reaching the rail.
Permian would be the first horse to win the Derby train in the north of England for over half a century. He would be a huge feather in the cap of Mark Johnston, who's been a notable ally to Sheikh Mohammed's team in a slightly different way to the mainstream Godolphin operation in Newmarket.
Indeed, and Permian has got more experience, and in the preamble we were talking about that. That's not to be underestimated. A lot of horses who are lightly raced have won this race just because they've got by on superior talent. But experience is still a factor for a horse, especially in a physical contest like this one's going to be. And Permian ticks all the boxes in that regard.
But I asked you, Sam, at the beginning of the programme about Eminent, who's now an 11-2 third favourite. And if there's one horse who's been strong in the market for the last couple of days, it's this horse owned by a New Zealand legendary bloodstock Supremo, Sir Peter Vella, and businessman, and Newmarket trainer come businessman Martin Mead is looking to be an unlikely David, in truth, to the Goliaths.
At the start of the season, they were all saying that we're going to go Craven, we're going to go Guineas, and we're going to go Derby. And the Guineas is going to be the ideal stepping stone for us to get into the Derby. And that's the path that they've trod, and that's the path that they've found themselves on. And although he could have shown a little bit more in the Guineas and finished his race off a little bit stronger, stepping up in trip today, you would imagine would be perfect for him.
When I say unlikely, I don't mean the horse is an unlikely winner, more that Martin Mead has probably rarely been described as an underdog in his career.
Indeed, yeah, he did. He's a team of one this afternoon. But back to the bloodstock angle. Yesterday, Frankel's old mucker, Nathaniel, put his name on the classic Roll of Honour and inspired many a purchaser to invest in his stock at the big end of season sales. Now, say this very quietly, but Frankel fever is beginning to flatline a little bit. But all that would change with
and
victory
how?
for Cracksman or Eminent in the next few minutes.
And they are 2 of the front 3 in a Derby which is intriguing for its lack of predictability. There is not a standout horse going into the race. We hope there will be a standout horse coming out of the race. But if that hope is not to be realised, at least give us one hell of a horse race. Something to talk about, a rattling good finish. It rarely disappoints. Let's hope it doesn't today, Sam.
Absolutely. I'm amazed really with this seismic move for Dubai Thunder. I mean, he's drawn 1 as well. That's going to make life awkward. You know, inexperienced, enjoyed a lovely flat track at Newbury and ran away from him in the style of a good horse, but the ground's quick enough as well.
Bettors on this race are scrabbling around for some sign of freakish talent amongst a group of horses where they haven't really managed to grab hold of it yet.
But this isn't one going from 10s to 6s in a 0 to 60 at Wolverhampton, is it? This is on a big betting market, the Derby on Saturday, you know, in the face of some strong horses at the front end of the market.
We ask our biggest producers of thoroughbred racehorses to deliver horses to Epsom Downs on the first Saturday in June. With 18 in the field, they haven't let us down. 6 from Ballydoyle, 4 from Sheikh Mohammed, and 5 from John Gosden. But don't forget the other key players in this race, Eminent and co. as the last couple move forward for the world's most important horse race. Simon Holt is your commentator.
So Cracksman will make up the line under Frankie Dettori in the Anthony Oppenheimer colours. They're set to race, lined up, and they're off. Racing in the 2017 Investec Derby, Peeler was rather slowly away. Venice Beach amongst the leaders, with Best Solution and Douglas MacArthur going forward on the wide outside in the black sleeves, and now leads the way. Also going handy is the Anvil, followed by Peeler, and Cracksman is right there as well. Permian is handy as well. Rekindling towards the outside in the dark blue jacket, white cap, followed by Glencadam Glory. Khalidi is chasing the leaders. Dubai Thunder and a red cap towards the inside as they get across the course now, and Douglas MacArthur leading the way by a couple of lengths to the Anvil in second. Then in third is Best Solution in the all blue jacket, Permian in the silver silks, followed out wide by Venice Beach. Wider is Crowned Eagle. Cracksman just nudged along there by Frankie Dettori. Dubai Thunder the inside of Rekindling, and the front two going off very quickly indeed. Capri is further back in the field. Douglas MacArthur and the Anvil have gone 8 to 10 lengths clear of the field as they head towards this long left-hand turn at the top of the racecourse. Venice Beach is third on the outside of Best Solution, then Permian and Cracksman and Crowned Eagle, followed by Rekindling, and then Dubai Thunder is further back behind these, followed by Eminent and Khalidi. Capri the grey on the outside just behind Rekindling. Glencadam Glory, Cliffs of Moher is well back with Saluen, and then Wings of Eagles, Peeler, and last of all is Ben Battle in the white cap, heading on the descent now towards Tatnam Corner. A furious pace in the Investec Derby being set by Douglas MacArthur and Colm O'Donoghue from the Anvil in second place. Behind these in third is Venice Beach, and then on the inside in the all blue Best Solution. Behind these Cracksman is being asked to stretch now, then Permian. Down the outside is Capri. They're homeward bound with 3.5 furlongs left to gallop. Douglas MacArthur is loose on the field, chased by the Anvil, Best Solution, then Venice Beach. Cracksman begins to find his stride, now beginning into second place and eating into the leader's advantage. Permian, Capri out very wide, Cliffs of Moher, and then Eminent. They race down inside the final 2 furlongs. Douglas MacArthur is chased all the way by Frankie Dettori on Cracksman, and here comes Cliffs of Moher down the wide outside under Ryan Moore, and he goes on sweeping past both of them. Eminent battling on too, then Wings of Eagles, Cliffs of Moher, Wings of Eagles swooping though, and Wings of Eagles gets up to it. Wings of Eagles denies Cliffs of Moher, and Cracksman fighting it out for second, and Eminence back in fourth.
Well, would you believe it? Ballydoyle have won. Was it their 5th string, their 6th string? They won't mind, they've done it again. Wings of Eagles at 40 to 1 has taken the Investec Derby. And what a day for Padraig Beggy, the man in the plate. He has won on the son of the 2011 winner, Pourmois, the horse memorably ridden by Mikel Barcelona to Derby glory. And he has a Derby winner, Aidan O'Brien. I doubt he can quite believe what he has just seen in his long and storied career. That is something else. Off a brutal searching pace set by 2 of his stable companions, Wings of Eagles has come from the clouds, 2 behind him when we pick them up, to collar his better fancied stable companions. Cracksman was the first horse to set down for the drive and tackle Douglas MacArthur, the long-time leader. Eminent, big white face, starts to have a go, tightened up between Capri the grey and the outside Cliffs of Moher, and just when you thought Ryan Moore, Cliffs of Moher, navy colours, had timed his run to perfection and got everything covered, oh, here comes the horse that was second at Chester to go 1 better in the race that mattered most. Wings of Eagles going away, Cliffs of Moher, Cracksman, Eminent, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Take the winner out, the result makes perfect sense, but no fluke about it, and Aidan does it again.
And pace has heavily shaped one of the best horse races you could ever wish to see. From them all bursting out the stalls, a great spectacle, an incredibly fast-run race with 2 pacemakers dueling away from the field, all the key protagonists firing. Ben Battle's run a screamer, by the way. Look at him at the back of the screen there. And the horse sat second last, benefiting from a huge pace meltdown to run down the moral winner of this race, which must be his stable companion Cliffs of Moher. But Eminent and Cracksman, the two Frankels, both beaten, but both running screamers.
But the story of this race, surely, has to be Porrick Beggy. I don't know how far down the pecking order at Ballydoyle he is as regards riding arrangements, but Aidan O'Brien, apart from knowing which are the best stable jockeys to acquire, knows exactly which men to have in reserve when he needs to field the whole team. And this man has sprung to prominence almost from nowhere, Sam.
Well, the horse has come from nowhere. It's got stopped twice as well.
Yeah, it did.
It would have been, a really facile winner if he got a clear run when he required it. He got stopped at the top of the straight when he just got the two behind him, and he's had to change course. And he's hung into the camber a little bit, as you'd imagine. And then when he's got him out, he's absolutely picked up and took off and gone by Cliffs of Moher. And well, it's a tremendous performance. You almost detected that Aidan a certain amount of chagrin, really, with the performance, because I think he thought Cliffs of Moher had got him one, and then this lad has come from out the clouds and pipped him.
It's a side issue, but the winner is a much less marketable quantity for Ballydoyle and for Coolmore than Cliffs of Moher. And I think Cliffs of Moher is the best horse in this race. I think what always happens with these strong running pacemakers is that the protagonists get sucked into challenging too early. And although, yeah, it's true, he was checked, but in an evenly run race, I think other horses in this race have shown greater tactical speed and have been in the heat of battle. And pace makes the race. And this is one of the best examples you will ever see.
And just look where the winner is. Even here, he has 3 or 4 lengths to find on Cliffs of Moher. You think the challenge on Cliffs of Moher has been timed to perfection. He's got Cracksman and Eminent snapping at his heels, but right over the top of them, the Beggy-ridden Wings of Eagles, the son of Pourmois, the eye-catching second for some, to Venice Beach in the Chest of Ours, has come out on top here. And this is the jockey's second group race winner only. His first group race winner came on Hydrangea at Leopardstown earlier this year. He came back to Ireland from Australia, started working for Aidan in January 2015, but it's only this year that he's been given some major chances, and this is an extraordinary day for him.
And remember that statistic about running multiple runners. Well, I give you here on the screen 6 appeal, for without the full team, Aidan O'Brien would have still won it, but it really helps to have all the bases covered. 1 up front, or 2 up front in this case, 1 out the back, some placed all through the race, because you do not know how these highly competitive races are going to be run. This was an absolute thriller. The best Derby visually I've ever seen, bar none, and all the right principles there, with one exception. The horse we underrated severely, the horse who is a strong stayer and who brought that quantity to the table, but he missed the fractions early on up the hill. That's the point. He probably ran a lot more evenly than those in front, and both Cracksman, to a lesser extent Eminent, and Cliffs of Moher, who took 2 or 3 lengths out of this field and ran very fast from the 5-pole down to the 1 as well. A brilliant race to watch, a superb stayer in the winner, and a great debate for the rest of the season. Who will come out best in future? Who will Ryan Moore ride when these horses race against each other again, if they do?
Absolutely remarkable. John Gosden's Cracksman has run a mighty race in 3rd place today. Frankie must have thought he had it won for a stride or 2. Cracksman's trainers with Lydia.
Absolutely, John Gosden ran 5. His first string, Cracksman, has finished 3rd. Nick was just saying that Frankie must have thought he had it won for a stride or 2. Did he?
I think he found that the horse was still a little immature mentally about the whole thing, that he had to, at a couple of stages, galvanise in top of the hill, coming out the bottom. You saw his elbows moving a little bit. It was even picked up by the commentator. And I think he's just a little bit running a bit babyish. He could have done with that other race. I didn't want to give it to him because I didn't think it would have suited him in the ground. And he's run a ground race. He's just got caught for experience and just a little bit at the end, but I don't think he's beaten too far, is he?
No, he's not at all.
Wings of Eagles, he's run a great race. What, a half length and a neck or something. Run a great race.
Did the race pan out as you expected to?
I think it pretty well did. We knew there were going to be a lot of pace, but they were rather ignored, weren't they? The pacemakers are allowed to go, but it did take a bit of catching one of them in the end. But on the whole, I thought the race did. It's the sort of result you expect. You got Cliffs of Moher, Cracksman, and then a 40-1 shot happened to be one of Aidan's. We knew that was likely to happen, but they're obviously a pretty solid, even bunch of colts.
Given the experience that Cracksman showed, do you fancy a rematch?
Oh, anytime, yeah. He's in the Irish Derby. Wouldn't mind going there. Wouldn't bother me at all. Nice galloping track. Probably prefer it.
Any of the others? Anything to report on?
No, I mean, Peeler had a little trouble. He was just trying to hold on to his breath a bit. Crowned Eagle wasn't happy coming down the hill. And the other boy, Glen Cladden, ran fine. He's a sort of ledger horse. So overall, and Crowned, I was happy enough. They ran about how I thought.
Okay.
In fact, they ran how I thought they would.
Well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
John Gosden rightly proud of the effort of Cracksman, who went into this race with so little experience, albeit that he had won here. And it was a tremendously compelling spectacle, because chasing down Douglas MacArthur, the horse that burst this race open, first Cracksman, then Cliffs of Moher, then Eminent, final challenger, Wings of Eagles. And your eye was only drawn to him at the very, very last second, James.
It was a good spot by Simon to pick him up in commentary, because that wasn't, sometimes that must be a bit of a nightmare for commentators. But what we need, again, the sectionals on the race would basically tell us and confirm what I suspect, and I'm intuiting from it about the pace. But the horse that did the most running for me, without a shadow of a doubt, is this Cliffs of Moher. He did a hell of a lot of running in the middle part of the race of what was a very fast run race.
Not one Frankel, but two Frankels covered themselves in glory. Eminence run another scorching race for Martin Mead, who is with Lydia.
He really has run really well, and he was just a little squeezed out in the closing stages also, Martin.
I think he was, yes. He didn't sort of travel too well to start with. It took a bit of time to get him into his rhythm, I think, and get a sort of position, as he came around the top of the hill. And from there, he had a lot to make up, I think, towards the end. And that was his beauty, really, when he came into the straight to be able to use his stride, which he did. And then he just got a bit squeezed towards the end. And, I mean, he's not beaten far, but, he obviously wasn't the best on the day.